Welcome back to Your Health, Your Wealth. I'm your host, Dr. Eddie Patton. And in this podcast, we break down different habits, different things to make your body stronger, your mind stronger, and a more resilient life. So today we are going to talk about the importance of sleep. And I really would like to dedicate several episodes on the topic of sleep because it's underappreciated. I came up in the era when, I was just told, hey, push through it. Who needs sleep? Work all the time. But we know now through different research and different things that a lot happens during sleep. Being a neurologist, there's a lot of consolidation of memories and different things that occur during sleep that's really healthy for the brain as well as your body. So sleep is one of those things that we often put to the side, but it is a vital part of our life and really our body, and has an effect on everything from your muscles to your mood. In general, we have heard that getting sleep is important, but it's also the quality of your sleep. The temperature, different things like that. Sleep hygiene, which we'll talk about as well today. So not just getting those hours of sleep, but also getting the quality of sleep to improve your quality of life. When you don't get enough sleep, and we've all probably experienced this from time to time throughout our life, and we feel that lack of focus, that lack of clarity, that's because think of sleep as a recharge for your brain. And so if you don't get that recharge, it can be a little bit slower. We talk about sleep debt, different things like that to really get things going. So let's start with talking about some of the effects that sleep has on the brain. Most people may think that when you sleep, like your brain just shuts down. And, that's not true. Actually, during sleep, in reality, sleep is when your brain is one of the most active parts of the brain. Because it's the opportunity for the brain to not have to react to, moment by moment, second by second things that are going on in your life. But it's an opportunity for the brain to slow down, to organize thoughts, to organize experiences, and consolidate memories and different things and get you ready for the next day. So, during the day, your brain is nonstop doing things, conversations, tasks, stress, processes. But sleep is when the real processing of all these things really happen. So if you don't get enough sleep, you see things like memory issues or problems with focus. Now, there are different stages of your sleep, and I'm sure in future episodes we'll talk a lot more about the different stages, but during REM sleep, which is called rapid eye movement sleep, this is the stage of dreaming when dreaming occurs, and your brain integrates what you've learned and connecting this knowledge during REM sleep. And during this period is where you really see this connection between things like memory and learning. And we often tell students, hey, if you really want to learn, you got to get enough sleep. Because if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not consolidating these memories into things. You can study long hours and late into the day, but unless you really focus on consolidating those memories during REM sleep. And it's really kind of fascinating because during that dream stage, your body releases hormones to relax the body so that you're not acting out of your dreams. And certain conditions like REM-associated sleep disorder can happen where you don't release those hormones and people actually act out their dream. So there are dysfunctions, or you can have dysfunction in this REM sleep stage as well, but it's nonetheless a very important part of normal sleep and of normal day. I've spoken a few times about the power of the amygdala, and when you don't get enough sleep, the amygdala becomes more reactive. The amygdala is this small little almond part of the brain that processes your emotions, especially fear, especially stress. When you don't get enough sleep, your amygdala really doesn't have a time to react and relax and consolidate those memories. And so you'll notice that if you're sleep deprived, you can become more anxious, you can become more stressed, even burnout, just from sleep deprivation, because you don't have a chance to kind of reset that switch within the brain. And so you may have or find it hard to deal with things like stress and anxiety, all because of sleep deprivation. Every day in life, we're making decisions. We're making decisions about our health. We make decisions about our finances. We make decisions about relationships. And sleep is a vital part. It's a major part of how our brain allows us to make good decisions. So when you're sleep deprived, think of it as, again, that sleep, you recharge the energy of the brain. So if you don't get that period of deep sleep to recharge, when you are awake, your brain starts making shortcuts. And a lot of those shortcuts is in our decision making. And so we start making poor decisions, all because of sleep deprivation. And it really comes into play, especially with kids and adolescents, when I'm talking to them about just that, when we look at some of your decision making, and just by being sleep deprived, it decreases, or sometimes you end up making poor decisions based on that. Just like in our bodies throughout the day, we have toxins that build up, different things, and we get rid of it through our kidneys. Your brain accumulates toxins as well throughout the day. And it's during sleep when you get rid of a lot of those toxins and substances throughout the brain. There have been research that have linked things like sleep apnea or sleep problems with Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative processes. And we think it's because of not having that real adequate time to consolidate sleep and put it together, and building up sleep debt that allows a lot of these toxins and neurotoxic agents to build up. So, people treat sleep like it's negotiable. Oh, I don't sleep today. I'll catch up on sleep tomorrow or whatever. But, we really have to think about what we're doing to our bodies, what we're doing to our brains by depriving ourselves of a lot of sleep. When you have prolonged times of lack of sleep, you can build up what's called sleep debt. And you can somewhat catch up on that debt by prolonged periods now of sleep and rest, vacations, weekends away. And that does help, but it's hard to really catch up on a lot of that sleep debt once it accumulates. So the best thing is to just be more consistent with your sleep pattern. Try to be regular, and that allows your body to adjust and your brain to really adjust to your sleep habit. And eventually it's like a clock within your brain in which you'll know at this point in time, hey, it's time to shut down, or it's time to relax and take time for yourself. So when I'm counseling patients on the importance of sleep, that's really the first thing I talk about is being consistent and really allowing your body to get into a rhythm. Now, that's sometimes hard, especially if you work different jobs or if you do shift work or different things like that. But if you have the opportunity to set a regular schedule and a regular pattern, that's always good, good for your brain. So let's talk about some practical tools that can help you improve your sleep. And the number one thing outside of schedule that I would say is creating the right sleep environment. When you think about environment for sleep, this has a direct effect on the quality of the sleep that you get at night. So a couple of practical tools. Your bedroom should be cool, dark, and quiet. Lights and noise can interfere with your sleep more than you realize. Keeping technology, things like watching TV late at night or watching the news, watching shows or things that really stress you out. Once you go to sleep, you'll find you'll have a hard time going to sleep and staying asleep because your mind is still thinking about those things that you just experienced and what you just went through. Try to disconnect or start shutting down about 30 minutes before you want to go to sleep. This could be things like reading a book or meditating. Try to avoid a lot of alcohol close to the time that you're going to sleep. And also caffeine. Caffeine can stay in your system for a long time, so try to avoid things like stimulants and caffeine several hours before you go to sleep. All in all, try to create that environment, that period to where you can wind down and get a restful sleep. So sleep is very important, and that's why I want to focus on several episodes to discuss this topic. But with this introduction, the key takeaways is just that, don't underestimate the power and value of sleep. Sleep has a profound impact on your brain and your body. It's the period in which your brain and your body recharges, focuses, and gets ready for the next day. There are a lot of hormonal and physiological things that go on through sleep, and you have to give your brain and your body that opportunity to really recharge and reset and get ready for the next day. Tune in for future episodes on sleep. I've got some experts that I'm going to interview, and we're going to dive deeper into these different areas of sleep. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Your Health, Your Wealth, and join us for future episodes as we dive deeper into how to get good quality sleep and how that affects your health and your wealth.